feel the wild horse, those four wheels if you're wanting more. If you just wanna ride, I'll lay next to you. Let our bodies follow you, let my hands receive you. I'll lay next to you, light this bed on fire, gasoline to a light. I'll watch you burn bright. I'll lay next to you, I'll lay next to you. Give you space, let your dreams take flight. If you fly away, I'll hold you tight. If you fall, I'll lay next to you, I'll lay next to you.
This intro has been a montage of some of the shots I've captured with the 7Artisans Vision 25mm T1.05. So let's open up this case. I did get the 3-piece set. The only one that did not come with this set is the 12mm. And in its place, I have a variety of filters, most of which are ND filters, because if you want to use any of these lenses at T1.05, you're going to have some very strong neutral density filters. I'll leave links to my favorite filters down below, as well as the link for this complete set here with the 3 lenses and the case. It's pretty hard to find online, and I'll leave links down below for the individual lenses. All 3 of these lenses have the same housing diameter, and both the T-stop and focus rings are geared and they're all in the same position. The filter size across these 3 lenses are all 82 millimeters. So if you get a filter set for one lens, you can use it on the other 2, which would be the 35 and 50 mil T1.05 in this 3-piece set. The fit and finish of this lens is incredible for the price of about $550. I should note that if you want to use this lens, but you do not care about it being in a cinematic housing, you can get a photo version of this, which is gonna be smaller and lighter. And that version of this lens, which is the exact same optical formula, same close focus distance, same number of aperture blades, it is optically the same. I'll leave a link for that down below. And instead of $550 for the cinema version, that copy is $370. The focus throw on this lens is huge. It's 270 degrees. Having a very large focus throw lets you have very smooth and minute changes to your focal plane so that you can really smoothly rack focus and make sure that something is in the proper plane of focus. The T-stops vary from T1.05 to T16, and the throw on the T-stops is much shorter than your focus throw, and the aperture is declicked so that you can set it and rotate it however you'd like with a smooth resistance band. The minimum focus is 9.06 inches or 0.23 meters, which is very close. But that brings me to my first gripe. At T1.05, it is like milky, a huge lack of contrast, a huge lack of sharpness, but luckily the higher T-stop you get, the more clean it gets, and the further away you get, the cleaner it gets. At about 2 foot and beyond, you can use that T1.05 and still get pretty good critical sharpness. But since the minimum focusing distance is so close, you're probably gonna need to stop it down anyway, about a T2.8 or T2, and by that point it's cleaned up enough to be usable. And while we're at it, let's just go ahead and get my other gripe about this lens out of the way. You can focus way beyond infinity on this lens. I have no idea why you would ever want to do that. If you aren't very familiar with where your end of infinity is, or if you don't have a hard stop set on your focus gear, then you're probably going to shoot past infinity until you remember where infinity is. Now, back to the good stuff. The iris is almost completely round, even as you're stopping it down through the range. You don't have a certain portion of the range where you get weird looking shapes in your bokeh, except for at the edges, at or near wide open, you get some cat's eyes, and that's just part of the character of this lens. This is an optically flawed lens. That's why I think this is sort of a modern vintage. This gives you that 60s and 70s look. It's a unique and beautiful looking lens. Is it optically perfect? Absolutely not. But that is where the character and the charm and these unique characteristics come from. That's why vintage lenses look the way they do, because they are optically flawed. And to get those types of looks, you have to have some sacrifices. Now let's roll into a couple of examples. This first one I'd like to show you, if you'll notice on the left side of the frame, I do not change my focusing whatsoever. However, this fishing dock that is in focus when it's inside the middle 2/3 of the frame, but you'll notice that it goes out of focus once it nears the edge of the frame. And that's what I mean by the focal plane is not flat. That's why you get a lot of the cat's eyes. That's why you get that painterly look and the swirl of the out of focus areas. It's because the focus plane is actually curved, which means the edge of your frame will not be in focus with the center portion of your frame. Again, that is an optical imperfection that actually leads to the character of the lens. So it's going to be subjective whether or not you like it. Now let's take a peek at that swirl. Seeing this tree in the background swirl around this lamppost here. And of course, yes, this is at T1.05. You maintain a little bit of swirl down to T1.4, but by the time you get to T2, it's pretty much gone all the way. Lens flaring is present, but it's acceptable for me. The sun is directly in my face. I do have some atmospheric haze, which softens the sun just a little bit, which around my location is going to be high humidity and pollen in the air from all these pine trees. But as you can see, the bloom doesn't consume the entire image. It just gives you this nice flare. Again, it's subjective. And then at nighttime, even with the light bulbs of the overhead street lamps, there's no lens flaring with those soft and subdued light sources, including with these neon lights at nighttime. There is just a hint of glare, but that's actually from the lens filter I was running to be able to shoot this at T1.05, because yes, at dusk, even under these conditions at T1.05, I was still overexposing. Now let's zoom in on an example. First, we'll start here in the center. You can see that in the center of the image, even at T1.05, which this shot is at, your critical focus is acceptably sharp. If you're gonna punch in and pixel peep, you will notice that it is not perfectly razor surgically sharp like a lot of modern glass, but it still is sharp, more than acceptably sharp at your critical focus point. The focus falls off very soon thereafter at wide open aperture, both in the foreground and background. It is pleasing the way it rolls in and out of focus. There is a smidge of bloom. Unless you get a really hard or backlit source, then you're gonna have noticeably more bloom in the image, but it's not overpowering. It just gives it that vintage, again, I'm gonna keep saying it, that vintage look. And then if we take a peek at the light sources that are out of focus near the edge of the screen, one, you can see a little bit of vignetting, and two, you can see quite a bit of chroma smearing or light source smearing. I'll be doing a review very soon of the 35 and the 50 out of this set, and then I will do another video where I go into a little bit more technical detail comparing all three of them against each other to see how well they match up as a set. So subscribe to stay on top of that. Thank you so much for watching this. Have a great day.
An open field, the wild horse, those four wheels if you're wanting more. If you just wanna